These are live pictures coming from the Great Hall of the People. In attendance to the session there, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Premier Li Keqiang, along with other senior Chinese leaders. The CPPCC is China's top political advisory body. Its members, or the advisors, put forward proposals for the NPC, or the National People's Congress, China's legislature. The annual session of the NPC will start on Saturday. Again, you're looking at live pictures coming from the Great Hall of the People, where China's annual political season is underway. In a short moment, we'll hear from Chairman Yu Zhengsheng, Chairman of the National Committee of the CPPCC, with a work report. He will outline achievements made in the last year and plans into the future. Again, this is from inside the Great Hall of the People, located right here in the Chinese capital. China's annual political season is underway. The annual sessions of the CPPCC and NPC are known collectively as the two sessions. They are some of the most important events of China's annual political season. Today, the fourth session of the 12th CPPCC National Committee will kick off.
Members, friends, comrades, the fourth session of the 12th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. The number of members who should be present today is 2,214. And the number of those who are present conforms to the rule of numbers. Now I'm pleased to announce that the fourth session of the 12th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is now open. Please rise to sing the national anthem. Please be seated. This afternoon's meeting has three sessions. Now we proceed with the first session. Deliberate and pass the meeting procedures of the fourth session of the 12th National Committee of the CPPCC. Now please read meeting procedure draft. This is the proceeding draft of the CPPCC. First, listen and deliberate the work report of the CPPCC's National Committee. Listen and deliberate the work report on the proposals of the CPPCC's National Standing Committee. 3. The fourth session of the 12th National Committee of the CPPCC, and listen to deliberate the government report and other relevant report. Discuss national economy and social development, the draft outline of the 13th five-year plan, and the charity law draft. Fourth, listen and pass the political resolution of the 12th CPPCC. Fifth, listen and deliberate the fourth session of the 12th National Committee of the CPPCC on the resolution of the Standing Committee work report. Sixth, listen and deliberate on the examination of the proposals of the CPPCC. Members, do you have any suggestions in regard to the preceding draft? If you don't have any suggestions, please clap your hands to pass it. Now we proceed with the second session. Please invite Chairman Yu Zhengsheng, who represents the Standing Committee of the 12th National Committee of the CPPCC, to present his work report.
Fellow members, on behalf of the Standing Committee of the 12th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, I present to you this work report for your deliberation. First, a review of the work in 2015. 2015 was a major year for comprehensively deepening reform, the first year for fully advancing the law-based governance of China, and an important year for the CPPCC as its work broke new ground and saw many innovative developments. Over the last year, the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, with Comrade Xi Jinping as General Secretary, attached great importance to the work of the CPPCC, and further strengthened leadership of the CPPCC concerning political, ideological, and organizational affairs. The Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee has reviewed the work of the CPPCC multiple times during its meetings, while the CPC Central Committee has created guidelines for strengthening the development of socialist deliberative democracy and implementation measures for the CPPCC in this regard, convened a central conference on the United Front work, and promulgated and implemented provisional regulations regarding the CPC United Front work. These measures have made an important contribution to development of the cause of the CPPCC. Under the firm leadership of the CPC Central Committee, the CPPCC National Committee and its Standing Committee have thoroughly implemented major policies and plans of the CPC Central Committee, united participants to the CPPCC from all political parties, social organizations, ethnic groups, and social strata, held high the banner of patriotism and socialism, adhere to the major themes of unity and democracy, and works in accordance with the overall plan for promoting all-round socialist economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological development, and a four-pronged comprehensive strategy. On this basis, we have conscientiously performed our duties, strived to be more innovative in our work, and strengthened our self-improvement, therein achieving new progress in the cause of the CPPCC. Over the past year, the Standing Committee of the CPPCC National Committee thoroughly implemented the strategic plans made by the CPC Central Committee for developing socialist deliberative democracy by focusing on key areas and making use of the unique strengths of the CPPCC. This work has primarily covered the following four areas. First, we ensured a proper understanding of the nature of the CPPCC in order to maintain a correct political direction. We unwaveringly upheld leadership by the CPC and conscientiously performed our duties within the confines of China's constitution and laws, as well as the CPPCC Charter. We ensured a correct understanding of the nature of the CPPCC as an organization in the United Front of the Chinese people, an organ for multi-party cooperation and political consultation, and an important means of promoting the people's democracy, we gave full expression to its role as an important platform for democratic participation in state affairs, as well as for the advancement of unity and cooperation. We convened meetings for local CPPCC committees to come together to exchange their experiences, achieved greater unity of thought, and worked to see that CPPCC committees at all levels incorporated the important principles of upholding leadership by the CPC, adhering to the nature of the CPPCC, promoting great unity and solidarity, and advancing socialist democracy into every aspect of the performance of their duties. Second, we adhered to our structure of deliberation to make our political consultations more fruitful. We worked to make inspections and studies more relevant to political consultations, improved the quality of consultations through our investigative studies, and promoted the incorporation of study results into policy decisions through consultations. With topics spanning every aspect of economic and social development, we held a plenary session, 5 standing committee meetings, 2 special consultative meetings, and 20 bi-weekly consultative forums. Our consultations took diverse and interacting forms, and we utilized a combination of presentations, speeches, and exchanges to bring about a political consultation structure that is even more inclusive, multi-layered, and regularized. In addition to the plenary session, we carried out 107 inspections and studies and 40 consultative activities, which altogether had a cumulative attendance of 4,697 from 1,546 National Committee members, accounting for 69.8% of the total body of members. Third, we strengthened the CPPCC's function of democratic oversight by adhering to a problem-oriented approach. In line with the principle of conducting oversight that is well-planned, subject-focused, properly implemented, and highly productive, we carried out 12 study, deliberation, and oversight activities related to the implementation of the major reform measures, as well as issues that concern the vital interests of the people, such as reform of the investment approval system, pollution control in the Tanga Desert, the construction of small-scale irrigation and water conservancy facilities, and protection of the rights and interests of sanitation workers. Through integrated study, deliberation, and oversight work, we promoted improvements in the related areas of work and the enactment of related policies by obtaining a clear picture of the situation at primary level, conducting follow-up oversight of the major issues, and then conscientiously and responsibly offering critical, constructive suggestions. Fourth, we concentrated on institution building to steadily improve our work mechanisms. We formulated or revised 10 regulations, including those related to performance of duties by members of the CPPCC National Committee, the work of the special committees of the CPPCC National Committee, deliberations on the handling of proposals, inspection tours for National Committee members, special investigative studies, and reporting on social conditions and public sentiment. We continue to improve the institutions rooted in the CPPCC Charter, which cover the organization of meetings, day-to-day work, and self-development work, thereby creating an institutionalized, standardized, and procedural basis upon which to ensure the performance of our functions and duties. Over the last year, the Standing Committee coordinated the performance of its functions of political consultation, democratic oversight and participation, in the deliberation of state affairs with a focus on the central task of economic development and serving the overall interest of the country. First, enhancing our study of theory and consolidating our shared political foundation. We thoroughly studied and implemented the guiding principles of the 18th CPC National Congress, the 3rd, 4th and 5th plenary sessions of the 18th CPC Central Committee, and the guidelines of General Secretary Xi Jinping's major policy address, striving to both develop a deep understanding of these principles and produce pragmatic results through persistent study and application. We held a standing committee meeting to study and implement the guiding principles of the 5th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee, at which we not only gained a thorough understanding that a philosophy of innovative, coordinated, green, open and shared development represents a profound change in the development of our country, but also became more conscious of our ability to put it into practice. We held a standing committee meeting on fostering and practicing core socialist values to develop a stronger consensus on ideological, political and ethical values. We hosted a number of events in conjunction with the commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and in the global war against fascism, such as studies of General Secretary Xi Jinping's speech at the commemoration ceremony, an academic forum on the war attended by scholars from both the mainland and Taiwan, and events for the China Committee on Religion and Peace to pray for peace. These efforts worked to greatly promote the Chinese spirit of patriotism as well as reinstill in people the noble spirit of the war of resistance. We held 22 gatherings, including group study sessions for the Standing Committee, study and report sessions for National Committee members living in Beijing, and training sessions for officials of CPPCC committee bodies, with a cumulative attendance of more than 9,100.
2. Focusing on the central task of economic development while developing investigative studies and political consultations in line with the 13th Five-Year Plan. We put the main thrust of our work serving the overall interest of the country on the making of suggestions and proposals for the formulation of the 13th Five-Year Plan, which requires sustained rounds of study and research as well as the creation of a host of proposals. Concentrated into 3 months starting from April, we carried out 56 inspections, studies, and consultations as part of our in-depth research on a number of significant issues such as boosting consumer demand, promoting development of modern agriculture, transforming and upgrading manufacturing, addressing overcapacity, pursuing innovation-driven development, promoting brand building, developing functional zoning, increasing employment and entrepreneurship, spurring efforts to bring the Western region to a level of moderate prosperity, harnessing rivers in northwest China, conserving tourism, soil in northeast China, promoting development in ethnic minority areas along the routes of the Silk Road economic belt and 21st century maritime Silk Road, strengthening the prevention and control of air pollution while pursuing coordinated development of the Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei region, and promoting wetland protection while developing the Yangtze economic belt. We held a standing committee meeting to discuss the suggestions and proposals to be made for the formulation of the 13th Five-Year Plan, producing a report that was provided to central leadership for their reference in making policy decisions. Following the 5th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee, we organized national committee members to continue their political consultations and offer their suggestions for the formulation of the 13th Five-Year Plan by carrying out inspections and studies, submitting proposals, and reporting on social conditions and public sentiment. We held quarterly meetings on the macroeconomic situation, a meeting of the China Economic and Social Forum, and a meeting to analyze the national situation in terms of population, resources, and the environment. We strengthened dynamic and comprehensive research and made timely suggestions and proposals for both responding to the downward pressure on China's economy and improving the country's macro control policies. Third, giving full play to the strengths of the CPPCC to promote the implementation of the major policies for comprehensively deepening reform and the law-based governance of the country. We held special consultative meetings which involved concentrated discussions involving around the specific issues on the reform of the government review and approval system and the judicial structure reform of the people's courts. These meetings were highly productive as inspections and studies were conducted prior to the meetings. Lively discussions and interactions occurred at the meetings. And we produced proposals and suggestions that were submitted following the meetings, including suggestions to advance interrelated reforms and measures to promote the implementation of reforms. With an emphasis on the CPPCC's role of democratic oversight, carried out inspections and studies on issues which concern the public, such as financial, fiscal, tax system reforms, regulation of law enforcement activities by urban management officers, fire safety inspections and approval for new construction projects, inheritance rights to undisputed property and determination and restrictions, registration of contracted rural land use rights. We offered suggestions on draft legislation and regulations such as the Environmental Protection Tax Law, the Marine Environmental Protection Law, the law on promoting the application of scientific and technological advances, and the regulations on preempting and settling medical disputes. In addition, we carried out investigative studies and consultations on the implementation of the road traffic safety law, as well as legislation on professional tax services provided by social organizations. These efforts help to promote the improvement and implementation of relevant laws and regulations. Fourth, addressing the expectations of the people and working hard to improve their well-being. We resolutely adhere to the principle of serving the public in the performance of our duties and ensuring that both our proposals and our labors are in the public interest. We continuously channeled great energy into helping poor regions alleviate poverty as a whole, and we carried out follow-up studies and consultative forums and development within continuous poor areas and regions including Ningxia, Guizhou, and Qinghai Daba Mountain region. We carried out inspections and studies on a number of hot issues, including education, medical care, employment, and environmental protection. We made suggestions and proposals for strengthening the ranks of teachers in rural schools, helping universities and colleagues bring our own unique features, cultivating innovative talent, building national laboratories, developing special needs education, improving the quality of generic drugs, developing traditional Chinese medicine, ensuring the safety of genetically modified agricultural products, strengthening environmental pollution control in rural areas, and safeguarding the rights and interests of people with disabilities. We work with an eye towards better satisfying the people's intellectual and cultural needs, carrying out our studies and deliberations and helping the fine traditions of Chinese culture play a stronger role in society, promoting the integrated development of traditional and emergent media, and passing on and protecting China's intangible cultural heritage. We organize national committee members and experts to go into the field to help provide support and services to local people in old and revolutionary base areas, ethnic minority areas, border areas, and areas with relatively high incidences of poverty, such as bringing them donated supplies, holding informational forums, staging special performances, and providing free medical services and group consultations. In working to voice the concerns of the people, we complied and submitted 797 reports to the central leadership on social conditions and public sentiment. And we also received and handled more than 88,000 letters and 255 visits from the CPPCC committee members, as well as people from all sectors of society. Fifth, promoting ethnic unity and religious harmony to bring together the will and strength of the people. We implemented the guiding principles of the Central Conference on Ethnic Affairs, the Central Leadership's Second Xinjiang Affairs Forum, and the Sixth Tibet Affairs Forum, actively incorporating the Central Committee's guidance into the work on ethnic minorities and religion. In connection with celebrations of the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Tibet Autonomous Region and the 60th anniversary of the establishment of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, we paid visit to enterprises, communities, schools, farms, pastures, and temples in the two regions, organized informational sessions to explain our policies, and also held forums there. These activities reinforced the foundations for safeguarding national unity and promoting ethnic solidarity and progress by both strengthening the role the National Committee members from ethnic minorities and religious groups play in connecting and bonding with local peoples and promoting the exchange, communication, and interaction between different ethnic groups. We carried out in-depth studies on prominent problems affecting or holding back development of ethnic minority areas, and provided suggestions and assistance towards the enactment of related policies concerning issues such as the construction of a transport corridor between Sichuan and Tibet, the prevention and treatment of the passing on and development of traditional medicine of ethnic minorities, and the preservation of fine traditional culture of ethnic minorities. We held a symposium of National Committee members from ethnic minorities and religious groups to report on social conditions and public sentiment. We actively worked to guide religions in adapting to socialist society and made suggestions and proposals on the implementation of the regulations on religious affairs, policies, and real estate property held by religious groups, and the development of philanthropic work by religious communities.
Sixth, deepening friendship and exchange to pool strength for achieving national reunification and great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. We fully and faithfully implemented the principle of one country, two systems, under which the people of Hong Kong govern Hong Kong and the people of Macau govern Macau, and both regions enjoy a high degree of autonomy, carried out our work in strict compliance with the Constitution of China and the two regions' basic laws, and kept the National Committee members from Hong Kong and Macau well informed of the mainland's economic and social development and the CPPCC's work. These members were also organized to visit the mainland and conduct inspections on such issues as strengthening exchange and cooperation between Jiangsu and Macau and between Hong Kong and Henan, building the east section of the Silk Road economic belt, and establishing national demonstration zones for innovation. And we encourage them to make suggestions on promoting integrated development of Hong Kong and Macau with the mainland. We channeled greater efforts into our work related to the young people in Hong Kong and Macau and helped raise their sense of national identity through the organization of study trips for Hong Kong and Macau, youth delegations to visit the mainland and personally experience the country's achievements, headed by National Committee members from these respective regions. We adhered to the mutual political foundation of both sides of Taiwan Straits, upholding the 1992 consensus, improved communication and cooperation with relevant social organizations and groups in Taiwan through scientific, technological, legal, and cultural exchanges, advanced institutionalized exchanges between National Committee members and delegates from local legislatures in Taiwan, and conducted studies and consultations on topics such as the new issues from Taiwan. And these efforts brought together strength for promoting the peaceful development of cross-straits relations. We also deepened unity and friendship with Chinese nationals residing abroad, overseas Chinese who have returned to China, and relatives of overseas Chinese in China. We invited overseas Chinese nationals to attend CPPCC meetings in a non-voting capacity and to participate in CPPCC activities. 7. Strengthening foreign contacts and develop a favorable external environment for China's development. In accordance with the central government's overall plan for China's diplomatic work and the focus of the CPPCC, we continued to develop high-level foreign contacts, worked actively to share China's vision and plan of action for the Chinese Dream and Belt and Road Initiative, spread awareness of the system of multi-party cooperation and political consultation under the leadership of the CPC, worked to improve the international community's understanding of China's context its political systems and the CPPCC expanded bilateral contacts with relevant foreign countries and advanced pragmatic international cooperation in major areas. We carried out public diplomacy as well as cultural and people-to-people exchanges between China and other countries, strengthening friendly ties with foreign political organizations, economic and social groups, mainstream mass media, think tanks, as well as ordinary people. We held meetings to review the international situation where suggestions and proposals were made on topics such as developing new types of foreign relations, dealing with issues relating to international and regional hotspots, and improving the diplomatic work of China. In our look at the issue of further opening up China during the 13th five-year plan period, we conducted investigative studies on further opening the economy of the Yangtze economic belt, increasing the openness of border areas, and building economic centers that help to spur development and cooperation with countries in South and Southeast Asia. On the basis of this research, we put forward suggestions on bringing about a new situation for China's all-around opening up. We played an active role in safeguarding and defending China's core interests by strengthening contacts between the China Economic and Social Council and the relevant international organizations, as well as by supporting the China Economic and Social Council and China Committee on Religion and Peace in doing their work on issues involving Tibet and Xinjiang. 8. Improving the capacity of CPPCC members to perform their duties in the spirit of reform and innovation. We strengthened and improved the training for National Committee members, established the CPPCC Forum, and incorporated study and lecture programs into the agenda of the Standing Committee's sessions in order to see that the study activities of our members become more relevant to the work of improving performance of their duties. In highlighting the principal role of our members in the National Committee, we solicited opinions from all National Committee members on the issue of CPPCC institutional development and other major consultation topics, improved the National Committee member database, and expanded platforms through which members can better perform their duties. In an effort to improve our research and inspection work, we encourage the democratic parties, special committees of the CPPCC National Committee, local committees, and science and research institutions to conduct joint investigative studies. We explored a model of carrying out our investigative studies both collectively and in small groups so as to expand members' participation and make such studies more fruitful. We also improved the organization of CPPCC meetings by setting up a supervision team for ensuring good conduct and discipline compliance among committee members during plenary sessions of the CPPCC National Committee, and in improving our mechanism for selecting speeches and lectures, we hope to fully reflect the result of consultations made at standing committee meetings and other meetings by preparing both general reports and topic-specific reports. We applied stricter standards to the filing of proposals with the emphasis on quality, and we strengthened consultation in regards to the handing of proposals to raise their effectiveness. In 2015, we gave feedback on 5,003 proposals. Fellow members, we owe our achievements in the past year to the firm leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as General Secretary, to the strong support of CPC committees and governments at all levels and all sectors of society, and to the concerted efforts of the participating organizations of the CPPCC, its committees at all levels, and their members and bodies. Members of CPPCC committees at all levels demonstrated a strong sense of political responsibility, a keen awareness of duty, and a fervent work ethic in the performance of their tasks, make new contributions to the development of the CPPCC. On behalf of the Standing Committee, I wish to express our sincere gratitude to all of them. We also understand that work of the CPPCC still leaves room for improvement. Its investigations and research into key issues need to be more thorough. Its mechanisms for democratic oversight need to be improved. Its work on promoting unity and friendship needs to be expanded both in scope and in depth. And National Committee members need to do better in the performance of their duties. These issues deserve our serious attention, and we will take steps to address them.
2. The major tasks in 2016. This year is the first year of decisive stage in finishing building a moderately prosperous society in all respects, and a crucial year in moving ahead with structural reform. The general requirements of the work of the CPPCC this year are to fully implement the guidelines of the 18th CPC National Congress and 3rd, 4th, and 5th plenary sessions of the 18th CPC Central Committee, thoroughly study and put into practice guidelines of the General Secretary Xi Jinping's major policy addresses, faithfully implement the strategic plans made by the CPC Central Committee for developing socialist, deliberative democracy, work in accordance with the overall plan for promoting all-round socialist, economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological development, and the four-pronged comprehensive strategy, develop and follow the philosophy of innovative, coordinative, green, open, and shared development, adapt to the new normal in economic development, adhere to the major themes of unity and democracy, focus on the work on fulfilling the goal of building China into a moderately prosperous society in all respects. Take the upholding and development of socialism with Chinese characteristics as the pivot point for consolidating a shared political foundation. And devote our main efforts to making suggestions and proposals related to the implementation of the 13th Five-Year Plan. We will take a problem-oriented approach, raise our awareness of weak areas, increase the effectiveness of our political consultations, strengthen the CPPCC's function of democratic oversight, do more to promote unity and friendship, and raise the quality of our research and studies, so that we may take a positive contribution to a good start in the implementation of the 13th Five-Year Plan. 1. First, studying and putting into practice the guidelines of the 5th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee. Through special reports, seminars, and discussions, we will help National Congress Committee members study and understand the new concepts, new thoughts, and new strategies for the governance of this country proposed by the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as General Secretary. We will also ensure all National Committee members study and put into practice the important ideas in economic and social development of the 13th Five-Year Plan period, as well as to study, understand, and follow the philosophy of innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development. Now these efforts will help align the thinking and action of National Committee members with the CPC Central Committee's analysis and judgments of the situation. And on the strength of these, its decisions and arrangements, through combining the study and application of the guiding principles of the 5th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee with those of General Secretary Xi Jinping's major policy addresses, all National Committee members will attain a better understanding of the major challenges and opportunities faced by China in its development, and gain an enhanced sense of the responsibility, find the focus of their work, and consciously serve the goal of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects, thereby consolidating the common political foundation that is the basis of our all concerted efforts. Number 2, preparing suggestions and proposals for the beginning of the 13th Five-Year Plan period. With a focus on the implementation of the 13th Five-Year Plan, the progress of supply-side structural reform, and the major tasks of cutting overcapacity and excess inventory, leverage, reduce costs, and strengthen points of weakness, we will put into effect the 2016 plan of the CPPCC Standing Committee on Political Consultation, continue to organize inspections and investigative studies, and diligently work to bring about reports and findings that are both compelling and influential. We will hold standing committee meetings on better targeted poverty reduction efforts for more effective solutions and promoting the development of socialist literature and art. We will increase the number of special consultative meetings from 2 to 3, focusing on the major issues of industrial transformation and upgrading in Northeast China, encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation, and deepen reform of the medical and healthcare systems. At these meetings, we'll utilize the results of inspections and investigative studies in conjunction with consultations in order to try to find policy solutions. We'll flexibly use the biweekly consultative forums for in-depth deliberations on highly technical and special issues of public concern, such as improving the system for propagating modern agricultural science and technology, formulating the regulations of express delivery systems, supporting special needs education, and strengthening comprehensive utilization of crop stocks. We will hold quarterly meetings to analyze the macroeconomic situations and make suggestions and proposals on promoting sustained and sound economic development. We will also select a host of major issues for research and debate to form policy suggestions, including those related to promoting supply-side structural reform, stepping up the development of high-grade, diligently controlled machine tools and industrial robotics, the protection and utilization of land resources, and the prevention and control of soil pollution and ecological conservation development at the sources of the Yangtze, Yellow, and Lancang rivers. Number 3, making democratic oversight more effective. The democratic oversight by the CPPCC is an integral part of the development of socialist, liberal democracy, as well as an important means of helping the CPC and the government to improve their work. Our oversight will focus on the implementation of major reform measures and major policies adopted by the CPC Central Committee, as well as the fulfillment of major obligatory targets during the 13th five-year plan period. We must raise the effectiveness of democratic oversight by clearly defining the target, direction, and principles of our work and organizing a diverse range of activities centered primarily around our inspections and investigative studies. Our democratic oversight also covered the following issues: improving of urban planning, development of the food safety regulatory system, establishment and management of nature reserves, prevention and control of air pollution, construction and operation of handicapped accessible facilities throughout society, and protection and use of Great Canal after its inclusion in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List. Some of these issues will be discussed at the bi-weekly consultative forums, which are uniquely designed for discussing oversight work. Democratic oversight also fully embodied in consultative activities, member proposals, speeches, lectures, inspections, and investigative studies, reporting on social conditions and popular sentiment, and letters and visits of members. To improve oversight institutions, we summarize the successful practices and experiences of CPPCC committees at all levels in this respect, formulate methods for improving the CPPCC's work of democratic oversight, and make further improvements to democratic oversight mechanisms such as organization and guidance, protection of rights and interests, provision and information of feedback and communication, and coordination.
4. Effectively rallying the will and strength of the people. We need to fully implement the party's policies concerning ethnic groups and religion. We will carry out investigative studies and consultations on serving and managing the floating population of ethnic minorities during the process of urbanization, as well as on the training of young and middle-aged religious leaders and give play to the role of representatives of ethnic minorities and religious groups so as to help promote the ethnic unity and religious harmony. We will fully and faithfully implement the principle of one country, two systems, under which the principle of people of Hong Kong govern Hong Kong, the people of Macau govern Macau, and both regions enjoy a high degree of autonomy, strictly abide by the Constitution and basic laws of Hong Kong and Macau, and support the chief executives and governments of the two regions in governing their respective regions in accordance with the law. We will encourage National Committee members from Hong Kong and Macau to play an active role both in the mainland and in their respective regions and contribute to deepening cooperation on development between the mainland and the two regions. We will extensively and thoroughly participate in work related to the young people in Hong Kong and Macau. On the political foundation of upholding the 1992 consensus and opposing Taiwan independence, we will continue to promote the peaceful growth of cross-strait relations, develop contacts and exchanges with relevant social organizations and groups in Taiwan, and facilitate trade and economic and cultural exchange and cooperation between the two sides of the Taiwan Straits. We will launch exchange programs for young people from Taiwan to experience the mainland firsthand and conduct studies on the employment situation of students from Taiwan who have attended mainland schools. We will enhance unity and friendship with Chinese nationals residing abroad, overseas Chinese who have returned to China, and relatives of overseas Chinese who live in China. Devote attention to the growth and education of children of Chinese origin who live abroad and ensure that the rights and interests of both overseas Chinese who have returned to China and relatives of overseas Chinese who lived in China are protected. We will hold activities to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the birth of Sun Yat-sen, promote the study and passing on of his patriotic thoughts, revolutionary commitment and enterprising spirit, and rally Chinese both at home and overseas to realize the Chinese dream. In accordance with the overall plan for China's diplomatic work, we will work hard to bring about a favorable international environment by actively carrying out high-level exchange visits, public diplomacy, and people-to-people and cultural exchanges by giving full expression to the roles of such platforms as the China Economic and Social Council and the China Committee on Religion and Peace. 5. Strengthening and improving our research and investigative studies. We should be meticulous and problem-oriented in our selection of topics, focusing on difficult or key issues, such as, in particular, bolstering weak areas in finishing building a moderately prosperous society in all respects, on major issues in implementing the new philosophy of development, and on issues of public attention related to living and work conditions. We must work to discover the actual circumstances, discuss them candidly, and suggest pragmatic solutions. We will integrate our resources together and develop investigative research teams composed chiefly of National Committee members with the added participation of relevant experts and scholars, ensuring that each team features a good arrangement of specializations and complementary research capabilities. We must seek truth from facts, carefully analyze and research issues, faithfully reflect the circumstances, and provide straightforward suggestions. We must be on the front line at the community level, ensure our samples for research are representative, focus on key areas, carry out in-depth studies and research, tackle problems where they are most formidable, ensure that our arguments are based on facts and data, and pinpoint the real problems, identify their real causes, and provide accurate advice. 6. Continuously improving our performance. We will enhance the system for maintaining contact with National Committee members and put into effect regulations on the performance of their duties. We will further strengthen the ranks of National Committee members, making sure they understand the CPPCC's nature and are competent in deliberation and political consultation, and even more importantly, adhere to discipline standards and rules and acts with integrity. We will ensure that the general rules of special committees of the CPPCC National Committee are observed, strengthen the institutional development of special committees along with their capacity for performing their duties, give full play to the role of CPC branch groups within the special committees, and help enable special committees to perform their work more actively, systematically, and thoroughly. We will make improvements to our working areas such as proposals, speeches, and lectures, reporting on social conditions and public sentiment, cultural and historical data, study sessions, and news and communications. We will make full use of the Theory Research Association of the CPPCC in undertaking the in-depth study of important issues in the CPPCC's work. We will conduct research and investigative studies on the implementation situation of the guidelines on improving the CPPCC's capacity for deliberative democracy so as to ensure CPPCC committees at all levels adhere to the principles. We will expand efforts to improve party conduct, consolidate and build on the results made in the educational campaign to promote 3 streaks and 3 honests, promote the drive to improve the competence of CPC members by having them study the party constitution, party regulations, and General Secretary Xi Jinping's major policy address, improve our work style, and strengthen the ranks of the national committee bodies. 3. Playing a better role as an organization in the Patriotic United Front. The important address delivered by General Secretary Xi Jinping at the United Front Work Conference of the CPC Central Committee and the provisional regulations regarding the CPC United Front work thoroughly analyzed and gave informed answers to a number of important issues in consolidating and developing the United Front from the perspective of the overall development of the cause of the party and country, and have become programmatic documents guiding the development of the United Front. As an organization of the Patriotic United Front, the CPPCC should thoroughly study and put into practice the guidelines of General Secretary Xi Jinping's important address, adhere to the major themes of unity and democracy, faithfully fulfill its functions of political consultation, democratic oversight, and participation in and deliberation on state affairs, effectively coordinate relations, allay grievances, build consensus, and strengthen unity, and work hard to put together a deep well of strength for achieving the 2 centenary goals and realizing the Chinese dream of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. 1. Upholding the leadership of the CPC. The CPC is the leadership core of the cause of socialism with Chinese characteristics and of the Patriotic United Front. This is the choice of history and of the people. The foundation of effectively carrying out the work of the CPPCC starts with upholding the leadership of the CPC. The CPC's leadership of the CPPCC is primarily expressed through its political leadership, ideological leadership, and organizational leadership. Through upholding and improving the system of multi-party cooperation and political consultation under the leadership of the CPC, and through party organizations within the CPPCC uniting and leading CPPCC committee members in firmly adhering to and implementing the party's line, principles, and policies. Unity and democracy are the 2 major themes of the CPPCC's work, and correctly understanding the nature of the CPPCC is the foundation of the CPPCC's work. Staying committed to these themes and this foundation is the essence of the party's work in the CPPCC and the key to properly implementing the party's line, principles, and policies within the CPPCC. Deliberative democracy is an important way of exercising the party's leadership, and it's central to the work of the CPPCC. Important suggestions submitted to party committees by party organizations within the CPPCC committees, such as the annual consultation plans of the CPPCC committees, should be made only after fully listening to the views of CPPCC committees, members, and deliberating on an equal basis with non-party representatives, and all important activities of the CPPCC should be carried out only after thorough consultation and in accordance with the Charter and procedures of the CPPCC. Deliberation on an equal basis and mutual respect are not mere formalities, but a guarantee for effectively carrying out the work of the CPPCC and a reflection of the party's fine styles of work in the CPPCC.
2. Building broad political consensus. Consensus, the foundation of cooperation and the mainstay of unity. The CPPCC must always take building political consensus as its major political task, and fulfill its task in the performance of all its duties. The keys to building consensus is properly handling the relationship between the sense of common purpose and diversity within the CPPCC and seeking common ground while respecting differences. In the CPPCC, this common ground in our foundation and prerequisite is the common commitment to the upholding and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics, as well as realizing the Chinese dream of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. This is the strongest political consensus and the greatest common divisor for working together. These differences are an objective reality and an important characteristic of the CPPCC, as our members come from all walks of life with varied interests, intellectual backgrounds, social experiences, and lifestyles, and their views and understanding of particular issues will naturally be varied as well. As society develops and time rolls on, some of these differences may become diminished and eventually disappear, or others may begin to emerge. The sense of common purpose within the CPPCC stems from our common political foundation, while diversity within the CPPCC is a reflection of its constituents' varied interests and thinking. We must foster a sense of common purpose while respecting diversity, allowing differences in particular opinions and views, but seeking consensus on basic principles and core socialist values. We should uphold patriotism and carry on fine traditional values of the Chinese nation, which promote the belief that the country belongs to the people, as well as inclusiveness, peace, and harmony. We must consciously keep in mind the basic national context of being in the primary stage of socialism, work in accordance with the overall plan for promoting all-around socialist economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological development, and the four-pronged comprehensive strategy, and build broader consensus on development, reform rule of law, and fight against corruption and values and all activities related to the performance of our duties. We must enhance our sense of common purpose without forcing uniformity, respect each other's differences without exacerbating grounds for disagreement, and encourage inclusiveness and diversity without devaluing the primary common belief. All members should resist and oppose all actions and speech which contradict, harm, and undermine our common political foundation. 3. Continuing to broaden unity. To adapt to the profound changes in the Chinese economic and social development, as well as in its social structure, the CPPCC must afford an even higher position to the strengthening of unity by broadening the base, including more people and reaching our further into society. We must constantly work to deepen the CPC's cooperation with non-party representatives by both respecting and safeguarding their democratic rights, as well as increasing consultations on issues related to the participation of all political parties and people's organizations in the CPPCC's general affairs. We'll actively expand our fields of work, and without forgetting our old friends, we will work to make new friends, especially with those who will be sincere and forthright with us. We'll continue to strengthen unity and friendship with non-party intellectuals, representatives from ethnic minorities and religious groups, and our compatriots overseas and in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. And we will maintain closer connections and communications with those from the non-public sector and new social strata, as well as students who are studying abroad or who have returned from abroad. For all these groups, we will work to ensure that there are more ways for us to orderly participate in consultations and properly voice their concerns through our platforms of consultation and channels for communication. 4. Better understanding the characteristics of our work to strengthen unity and friendship. In maintaining contact with and serving representatives from every ethnic group and sector of society, CPPCC must actively explore ways of effectively carrying out its work regarding unity and friendship under the new circumstances. Moreover, we must ourselves be hardworking and to find those who would help us to share in the burden of our work. We must be honest to find those who would treat us with openness and sincerity, and we must be enterprising to find those who would work with us for our common goals. We will always follow the practice of holding discussions as equals, so as it is only when we treat each other as equals can there be communication and trust. During consultations, all sides must follow the principle of deliberative democracy. We can speak, but there must keep open ears, and we can criticize, but must keep an open mind. CPPCC members must be willing to uphold the truth and rectify their own shortcomings. They should not force opinions on others, harbor prejudices, or reject a view on account of the speaker, and they should attempt to deepen their thinking and understanding during the discussion and dialogue. Only in these ways can we constantly strengthen democracy under the goal of unity and strengthen unity on the basis of democracy. We'll always serve our members earnestly and faithfully, incorporate our guidance into the work of improving their competence, and assist them in better understanding social situations and state affairs, so help them better perform their duties. We'll always maintain our positive styles of work, treating our members with sincerity and empathy and guiding them by reason, and we should constantly increase their sense of ideological and political identity on the basis of character development, morality, good work conduct, and exemplary behavior. We'll always make explorations and innovations in our work, encourage the CPPCC national committees, special committees, its constituent sectors and bodies to organize more dialogues, exchange, visits, and other unique activities among members of the National Committee, stay current with information technology by running the official microblog of the National Committee, and make fuller use of our website. In this way, we can increase the convenience of the CPPCC members in performing their duties and ensure that they receive more care and warmth from the National Committee. 5th, give an expression to the role of the CPPCC committee members as a link in maintaining close ties with the people. There are over 600,000 members of the CPPCC committees at various levels throughout the country. By rallying them closely around the party and through them uniting and maintaining contact with the public, we can pull together a deep well of strength for realizing the Chinese dream of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. We need to keep the people firmly in mind and be ready to serve them, proceed from the overall interests of the nation, address those issues that are of common concern to the people, engage with people from all sectors of society and the general public, provide more timely help to those in need or suffering from poverty, work hard to inform and educate people to clear up misunderstandings and misgivings, and work actively to provide information about party policy, safeguard the people's rights and interests, and promote social harmony so as to let the people feel that the CPPCC and its members are always close by if they need to call on them. We need to encourage CPPCC committee members to perform their duties of democratic oversight and come up with effective forms of democratic oversight and support them in reflecting public concerns and making suggestions and criticisms in order that we may help the party and the government improve their work. CPC members on CPPCC committees should consciously comply with the 3 stricts and 3 honests, become more aware of the need to uphold political integrity, take the overall interests of the country into account, uphold the CPC as their leadership core, and act on the policy of the CPC Central Committee, take the lead in promoting the fine traditions of the united front of the party and the older generation of revolutionaries, be able to broaden and deepen their friendships, and play an exemplary role in rallying together CPPCC committee members and people from all walks of life to strive to achieve the party's overall objectives and tasks.
Fellow members, we stand now at a new historical starting point where we can work hand in hand to create a brighter future for the Chinese people and nation. Let us unite even closer around the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as General Secretary, hold high the great banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics, follow the guidance of Deng Xiaoping theory. The theory of three represents and scientific outlook on development, thoroughly study and put into practice the guidelines of General Secretary Xi Jinping's major policy addresses, unite with one heart and one mind as we break new ground and work hard to achieve the two centenary goals and realize the Chinese dream of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation.